The harmonics are interesting, and I like old pans and the various stages of old pan to just see that evolution, and whether it's in, it affected the note layout as well. Um, so the reason I think the Invader pan, the octaves are split apart, you got low D, high C sharp, low, is all because if at that time with the shallow pans and the lack of separation, the you couldn't put those octaves in front of each other and get them clear. So if you play octaves on there, they're all spread apart. So you slowly see the pan go to where the next step is kind of like, okay, it's still the Invader pattern, but they've lined the octaves up because the drum is deeper, stretched a little thinner. And then you see the one, okay, they pulled that F sharp out and put it on the rim. So now it looks like the modern fifth pan, but it's all Invader pattern. And then Tony Williams, you know, figured out that, I don't know if you saw the first page of a music theory book or what. He's like, circle of fifths. That's where it's at. So because of that, the harmonics you would tune on that low D on an Invader pan, basically you weren't trying to make the pure perfect harmonics. You're kind of keeping the ones that are interfering with the note beside it out of the way. So that's why you would just make sure on that low D you don't have something that's interfering with that C sharp or the note beside it. So then when you switch to the circle of fifths pattern and have all the octaves lined up, the theory behind the harmonics comes much more perfect. So you got octaves, perfect fifths, second octaves. So you're able to put this A harmonic in tune on the D, which makes the whole note stronger. And because of that, it's pulling from that A beside it, and so on all the way around. The harmonic will determine the color of the note, like you mentioned, the sustain of the note, and the clarity of the notes in that. The old school way of tuning, you made sure the harmonics didn't interfere with notes beside it. Now it's more making the harmonics work with the notes beside it. So as that low D, where you might have a C or a F sharp or whatever you'd have on it, was so that it wouldn't mess with that B flat beside it. And now with the circle of fifths pattern or any of the whatever pattern it is, you set that harmonic so more pure intervals like octaves and fifths. And like, for example, the circle of fifths pattern, your low C is going to have, every note's an oval, whether it's got squares around it or whatever. The note itself is an oval, and on the long axis, it's usually octaves. And you can even control the second octave on there too. That was a big jump once they figured out you could control that high pitch. Then on the short axis of the note can be whatever you want. And when you make it a perfect interval like a fifth, that's a powerful interval, kind of like your power chord. And so if you've got a perfect fifth and an octave and a second octave on there, it's going to be bright, strong, and not sucking from the notes. When I say sucking, pulling from the notes beside it at all. It's just its own strong note. So then when you get into color can be influenced a lot by the harmonics, but it's harmonics in combination with the shape of the note. The note can be a higher surface or shorter, and tension. I always say that tuning a pan is like tuning a xylophone as far as the length of the bars, control it, versus a string where it's the tension. So you're trying to find the right amount of tension and shape and harmonic structure to make the note play. And it's not necessarily A plus B equals C.